Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the incredibly fascinating world of your digestive system. But we aren't just looking at this through one lens. We're going to examine it using insights from both cutting-edge, modern biomedical science and the ancient traditions of Ayurveda. So let's get right into it, because what we're about to uncover might literally change how you think about every single meal you eat. Picture this for a second. What if trillions of tiny organisms actually controlled your mood? I know, it kind of sounds like science fiction, right? But what if I told you that this massive ecosystem inside your body influences not only how you digest your lunch, but also your immunity, your brain function, your skin, and even your weight? It is absolutely mind-blowing when you realize just how much power these microscopic passengers actually hold over our daily lives. To make sense of all this, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll meet your second brain. Then, we'll explore the Ayurvedic perspective. Third, we'll see where ancient meets modern. After that, we'll identify 7 gut-harming habits, and finally, we'll wrap up with how to actually build better gut health. All right, section 1, meet your second brain. You know, we hear the word microbiome thrown around a lot by experts these days, but what exactly is it, and why is it getting a promotion to second brain status? Well, we are talking about a staggering scale here, trillions. Your gut microbiome is this massive, bustling ecosystem of bacteria, fungi, and other microbes living right inside your digestive tract. Think of it like a highly populated, incredibly busy city operating 24/7 inside your belly. You are literally outnumbered by the organisms living inside your own body. And it turns out these trillions of organisms form what researchers call the gut-brain axis. Basically, your gut talks directly to your brain, using chemical messengers and pathways like the vagus nerve. This means these little guys dictate way more than just how we process our food. Modern science shows they play an absolutely crucial role in our immune system. They produce neurotransmitters that affect our mood, like serotonin, for example. They impact our cognitive brain function, our skin health, and they even help regulate our weight. Simply put, if your internal city is in chaos, the rest of your body is going to feel it. Moving right along to section 2, the Ayurvedic perspective. Now, long before microscopes were even a twinkle in a scientist's eye, traditional systems of medicine were already observing the effects of digestion. So how did a system like Ayurveda, which originated in India thousands of years ago, describe all this? Well, central to Ayurveda is this concept of Agni. Think of Agni as your digestive fire. According to this tradition, just like a campfire, your Agni needs to be tended to. If the fire is strong and steady, you can break down your food, extract all the good nutrients, and even process your life experiences effectively. But if you throw damp logs on a weak fire, it just smokes and sputters. But what happens when that fire gets weak? Well, that brings us to Ama. If your Agni is impaired or just totally overwhelmed by poor choices, Ayurveda says it creates Ama, which is essentially this toxic, sticky buildup. Ayurveda teaches that if you don't clear this out, this internal buildup eventually spreads from the gut and leads to systemic health issues throughout the entire body. Starting to sound a bit familiar, right? Which leads us perfectly into section 3, bridging ancient and modern. It is just amazing to see how a philosophy developed millennia ago lines up with state-of-the-art biomedical labs today. When we put these distinct worldviews side by side, the similarities are striking. In modern scientific vocabulary, we're looking for microbiome balance, and when things go wrong, we call it dysbiosis. In the Ayurvedic view, this perfectly mirrors having a strong Agni, and when things go wrong, you get Ama buildup. So the takeaway here is that while the language is completely different, the practical observations are incredibly similar. The modern concept of a thriving, balanced microbiome looks just like the Ayurvedic concept of a strong Agni. And the modern understanding of gut dysbiosis, where bad bacteria overgrow and trigger inflammation, looks an awful lot like the Ayurvedic concept of Ama. Now, really quick, I do want to throw in an important caveat here. Evidence is still evolving, and we have to be responsible. Modern science hasn't validated every single thing in Ayurveda, nor does Ayurveda somehow prove modern science. These are distinct systems with entirely different frameworks. We aren't endorsing any miracle cures here, and you should definitely never stop prescribed medical treatments based on an explainer. But what we are saying is that the practical lifestyle overlaps between these two systems are undeniably fascinating and incredibly useful for how we live our daily lives. Okay, let's get practical with section 4, 7 gut-harming habits. If both modern science and ancient traditions agree that the gut is central to our health, what are we doing every single day that's throwing a wrench in the works? Here are 7 common saboteurs: skipping breakfast, eating ultra-processed foods, chronic stress, poor sleep, unnecessary antibiotics, lack of physical activity, and low-fiber diets. Take a second and really ask yourself, are any of these sneaking into your own daily routine? Let's actually break these down and see exactly why both systems warn against them, starting with the first four. First up, skipping breakfast. Modern science tells us this disrupts our circadian rhythms and microbiome clocks, while Ayurveda says it weakens your Agni, which thrives on a predictable rhythm. Second, ultra-processed foods. Science shows these literally starve our good bacteria and promote inflammation. Meanwhile, Ayurveda views them as dead foods that immediately create that toxic ama buildup. Third, chronic stress. In modern terms, stress hormones physically alter your gut environment and slow down gut motility. In Ayurveda, stress scatters your digestive energy, basically shutting down that digestive fire. And fourth, poor sleep. Scientifically, bad sleep disrupts gut microregeneration. Ayurvedically, it throws your body's natural restorative cycles completely out of whack, meaning you wake up with a weakened Agni. Now let's look at the last three habits. Habit 5, unnecessary antibiotics. We know from a scientific standpoint that taking antibiotics is kind of like dropping a nuclear bomb on your gut city. It wipes out both the good and the bad bacteria. Ayurveda similarly views strong synthetic medicines as something that can drastically crash your natural digestive fire. Habit 6 is a lack of physical activity. Science shows that movement actually increases microbial diversity in your gut. Ayurveda has taught for thousands of years that stagnation in the body leads directly to stagnation in digestion. And finally, habit 7, low-fiber diets. To modern researchers, fiber is literally the essential food that feeds your good bacteria. To Ayurvedic practitioners, whole fibrous foods provide the natural roughage you need to sweep away ama and keep the whole system clean. All right, time for some good news in Section 5, building better gut health. So, we know what damages the gut. How do we rebuild it? The great news is the answers are incredibly straightforward and backed by both ancient wisdom and modern evidence-based practices. We're talking about eating balanced meals packed with dietary fiber, adding fermented foods into the mix when appropriate to introduce beneficial bacteria, engaging in regular movement to keep everything flowing, prioritizing adequate sleep and deep hydration, and perhaps most importantly, managing our stress and maintaining consistent daily routines. Notice something here? We aren't talking about complicated, expensive treatments. We're talking about foundational, consistent daily choices that tend to your internal fire and nourish your microbiome. If there's one core message we want you to walk away with, it's this. Good health is built through daily habits rather than quick fixes. There is simply no magic pill that's going to undo the effects of chronic stress and ultra-processed food overnight. Long-term wellness, whether you're looking at it through the lens of a high-tech modern lab or an ancient text, is a daily, deliberate practice of taking care of the trillions of microbes that take care of you. So, I'm going to leave you with this question to chew on. Which daily habit will you change today to support your gut? Are you going to add a little more fiber to your lunch? Maybe prioritize getting to bed an hour earlier? The science is incredibly clear, and the history is compelling. The choice of how you tend to your own internal ecosystem is entirely up to you. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time as we continue to break down the most fascinating topics out there.